Rachel Vaughan from the Kaikoura community. Don't know if people know much about Kaikoura, but as a tourist community 10 years ago they decided to get into this space. They became the first Green Globe certified community in New Zealand, which means different things to different people, but Rachel's now looking to take that work much more strategic, and she's here to offer a position. Paula McCallum, who's down the back here, hello Paula, welcome, who's General Manager of Qualmark, will present after that. And when we're talking here, we're talking 10-minute presentations, 5 minutes for questions, so it's all pretty short and sweet. Rod Oram from Auckland, who you may know as a business commentator, writes in the Sunday Star Times and is a very articulate economist around the benefits of sustainable practice. He's presenting at 10 o'clock. And he's got a 15-minute PowerPoint followed by questions. He's kind of our main act in many ways, no disrespect for it. He's just, but he's a draw card who will bring a lot of people coming in for that by the sounds of it. And then we have one out of the bag, which is Karen Upston, who's from Rangiora, and people might have heard of her nappy composting company up there, which is going gangbusters at the moment, and so she's going to be presenting. 3 of those speakers are going to be presenting by Skype. And Paula's the only one who's here kindly. That's very nice of you. So after we do that, it's then a case of having morning tea, which is really important, and then an opportunity to hand the microphone to everybody in the room here, really, and you get 2 minutes, is my thinking. And it's essentially, here's me, I'm Richard Morley Hall from Interface Carpets, here's what we do, here's our carpet system, here's how it works, bang. So it's a summary of what's in the handbook, and it's a case of just doing that. I'll be very, very strict. The clock will be on, but I actually think it's a really important moment for people to articulate what their product is or service that they're offering, so people know about it. And after that, we're going to have a short 5 minutes from Alexa Forbes over here in the seminar room for those who would like it, about communicating your stories through this media, the challenges of doing that. And then that's going to be followed by a panel discussion around collaborating for change, how we can actually collaborate further in this space. And on that panel will be these fine people on the stage, who I'll introduce you to in a sec, along with Paula, who's here too, and Ernest Buckybush. Then at lunchtime and after lunch, the idea is essentially that there will be more public coming in at that space, so it's time to be dealing with them. Q92 are here, great to have you here, thank you, and they'll be doing live crosses throughout the day, FM, and they'll be wandering around grabbing what interests them to do that. And essentially that's the idea of the day. So it's really a celebration of what's been happening in this district. The handbook, which Sharon Schindler down the back, who most of you will know by now, has just put so much effort into and pulled together, and this whole event is due to her will, and it's a great credit to you, Sharon, that we have 25 exhibitors and the interest we do, so fantastic. So I'd just like to introduce the Queenstown Lake Sustainable Business Program partners to you and invite them to say a couple of words about why they're partnering in this space. I'll start with myself, Otago Polytechnic. We are in a space where unless we educate for a sustainable future, we think education is the key in this space. Maybe learning's a better word, because education has ramifications of sitting down and listening, which this is not about. It's about getting out there and doing it, and it's about understanding the drivers for change. We're really enjoying running the sustainable business programs here in the last 18 months, and in Wanaka I was involved over the hill there since 2005, so a lot of success over there as well. And what we're enjoying is businesses such as yourselves seeing that the market is changing and that there is a need for change, and we're trying to provide support in that space. So I'd just like to acknowledge the biodiesel facility as well, which is one of our kind of more public achievements this year, I suppose, and thank the sponsors for that who backed us early on, ICA, who are here, good on you, and the businesses who, Queenstown Rafting, Fuel Quip, Connector Bus, Nomad, Creekside, Ziptrek and Shot Over Jet, who got their checkbooks out in the early days to make it work. So the other people who got their checkbooks out are our supporting partners, and I've just offered the mic to Tony Everett from Destination Queenstown initially. Tony.
Great, thanks Steve. Is this my 2 minutes, is it?
2 minutes.
Excellent, good. Well, good morning, everybody. Tony from Destination Queenstown, just standing here next to my banner. It's great to see you all here this morning, and perhaps just to outline in my 2 minutes Destination Queenstown's motivations and interests this morning. You can see this is of course what we're selling to the world here in Queenstown, and just to let you into a bit of our strategic thinking, I just want to share something with you. Are there any Australians in the room today? Any Australians? One Australian over there. 2 Australians, owning up. I'm just going to say something now. I don't want you, please don't find this offensive or anyone else in this room, but it's a discussion that's going on in the social environment at the moment, Twitter, Facebook. We know how brutally honest that environment is these days, which is great. And I'm going to quote something from there. I'm just quoting it, so please don't be offended by it, but it's relevant to us as well. There's a discussion going on about the image of Australia in the big wide world on that very sometimes critical social environment. And it's talking about the possibility of that image being a little bit like the dumb blonde of the world, beautiful but shallow. And we're sort of watching this conversation with interest because, couldn't there really be a danger, that Queenstown could be perceived in that way where we're absolutely rock star, drop dead gorgeous in terms of our natural proposition. That is the resource that we sell to the world, and as a result of that sales, we're generating or receiving nearly $800 million a year off that resource here in this resort. But we need to be sensitive and careful and understand that our clientele will be looking for more than skin-deep beauty out of our destination. They'll want to see the backup behind that in terms of our sustainability. So it's wonderful to see so many DQ members along here today. It's an important part of our business plan to back you up on your sustainability journey, and good luck in sharing those stories on that journey. Thanks, Steve. It's enough for me.
Thank you, Tony. Good on you. Now I invite Scott Flickenshaw, who's here from Queenstown Lakes District. We've had an apology from the Mayor and the Chief Executive who aren't able to come, but QLDC has been a founding partner too. They've stumped up with some cash, which has been great. They've also provided the land for the Biodiesel Consortium and the fence. And Scott, a few words.
Thanks, Steve. Look, glad to be here. QLDC is incredibly happy and proud to support the efforts going on here. And there's all kinds of ways that council can be involved. But to be honest, the impetus for that has got to come from the community at large. So we're really happy to be working with Steve and the program in order to find out the right way to really move forward. With that, I'll be quite short. Thanks, Steve.
Good on you. And Anne Lockhart from the Chamber. Thanks, Anne.
I'm going to stand beside my banner this time. Well, obviously, the Chamber of Commerce is delighted and very interested to be involved with the Sustainable Business Program, and that is what the Chamber is all about, of course, is business. I see, like Tony was saying, a number of our Chamber members here today, and those that aren't, we'd love you to have you on board. The Chamber has just recently introduced the Sustainable Business Award as part of its business awards program, and we will be celebrating the success of some of those businesses next Saturday. Ziptrek, see Ziptrek over there, a finalist. The judges were just blown away by the standard of entries for that particular award, and this is all about businesses walking the talk. And I can see here that all of you are here today represented and doing exactly that. Absolutely vitally important to the bottom line to be following sustainable practices in every area. So not just environmentally, socially, but financially. And I think that that is going to be the guts of how people are going to survive in their businesses and be even more profitable going forward. So looking forward to a great day. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, and last and certainly not least, I'd invite James Helmore from Lake Wanaka Tourism. And for those who aren't aware of Wanaka and the work that's been done in this space, do you want to mention that? Or do you want to mention that? I mean, 72 businesses have been through a sustainable business program in Wanaka now since 2005, and there's a lot of emphasis on this being business as usual, but I'll let James talk to that.
Thanks, Steve. You really stole the thunder on that one. I guess to pick up on Tony's point, and also Steve's, Wanaka has been seen sustainability as a central part of its values and behaviour for quite some time. 70-odd businesses in Wanaka, that's a reasonable proportion. And I guess our job as a regional tourism organisation is to reflect those values, and we created a new brand back in about May called Lake Wanaka Lifestyle Reserve. And as part of that, there's an element that says it's actually a protected lifestyle reserve, and that's quite a bold statement to make, but that's our long-term commitment, that we're painting our colours to the mast to say this is what's important to our community, and these are the values and the behaviours that we have to show leadership in. I'm not sure how that leaves us, Tony, if you say Queenstown potentially is, blind and less intelligent. Where does Wanaka fit? But as a region, I believe the Southern Lakes or the Queenstown Lakes District really needs to show leadership, because Tony's right, we've got an amazing canvas out there of spectacular landscapes, and we need to make sure that we look after that landscape for the visitors to keep on coming through.
Thank you, and thanks to all of you. And there will be an opportunity at our panel at midday to grill these guys. We're keen to run this as informally as possible, so please just rock up to people and have a conversation. So, in 1 minute, is that right, Sharon? Rachel Vaughan, who's from the Kaikoura community, who has led or has the reins there around business development, and she's got some interesting things to say. I was talking with her the other day about how difficult it's been in Kaikoura to keep a council-owned wharf facility that Whale Watch and Dolphin Counter and these larger businesses there are using. So she's got some interesting perspectives to come to. What I'll do is I'll announce on this mic when the next session in that room is about to start. All right. So just last but not least is to make sure people know the fire exits are here, there, and the door you probably came in on. To thank Ernest Spokerbush down the back and Creekside for sponsoring the morning tea and coffee. And there's a gold coin donation there to go to the Cancer Society if people would like to make that donation. And I think that's about it before we move next door. Anything I've forgotten, Sharon? Lovely. Silence is beautiful, which means she's next door. So, talking to Rachel. So, just invite people, if you're interested in hearing the conversation about Kaikoura, to come next door and have a really good day. And we welcome inquiries as to how we can make this event better next time. Please, Ella Lawton's right down the back there, waving her hand right now, as sitting at the computer there. So have a word to Ella, myself, or Sharon about that. I think the other thing just to acknowledge too is we have a steering committee that drives the Queenstown Sustainable Business Programs, and Ernest Spokerbush sits on that. So does Alexa Forbes over here in the corner. I'd like to thank them for their effort, and these fine people here, except Deborah Lawson sits on behalf of QLDC. So thank you, have a good day, and we'll talk to you a bit later on. Thank you.